Welcome on in, everybody. NorCal Sports Network. Dan had surgery today, so I'm going to be filling in for him. He'll be popping in a few minutes. It's just me and Lou tonight. Giants win a big one. They win 2-1 against the Guardians. Logan Webb, 7 innings, 9 strikeouts. The Giants bullpen gets it done. Clutch two out hitting from Wilmer Flores gets it done. Casey Schmidt with 2 hits. We'll talk about that in a second. Lou, how are you? What were your thoughts on the game?
I was, tell you the truth, I was a little worried. This funk is just starting to get old. I mean, thank God Flores wasn't starting. I sort of like him pinch hitting. I sort of like that they sort of went for it there instead of waiting till the 9th, which, I give Melvin sort of a bad time where I think sometimes he waits too late. But I like that he did it. Big hit on a sort of a crazy curveball that he got with two outs, 2 strikes. So, I'm just still really worried about the lineup. If you take out Flores' hit, Casey got 2, Devers got 1, but, Adames again, goose egg. I also don't like the way I don't understand if it's a lefty or righty. It doesn't really matter. We're switching this lineup so much that, they need more consistency of where everyone's batting because, the bottom of the line has been pretty bad. I don't like batting Lee, batting 7th because then he has no protection behind him. And, he's in a slump right now. I liked him leading off or batting 3rd. It's just, I don't know, Bora. I don't know how you feel about that. But, one of the things I get a little upset about is consistency with the lineup. I don't care if it's a righty or a lefty. Just keep it as it is because these guys are under a lot of pressure itself. The only person, Devers should always be 3rd or 4th, but that's it. Keep these other guys because, Yaz was batting 7th, 8th. We were winning. Now he's leading off because it's a righty. Okay, well, then put Lee at starting. That's what you did. You had Lee leading off of the right. So, but hey, overall, big win. You don't want to lose 5 straight coming off, a tough time with the Dodgers and going into, I don't know how it's going to be this weekend, but it's going to be very emotional and a little strange because I don't think the Giants have ever been in this situation where Boston's coming in, they're playing good ball, and Devers is going to feel a little pressure and, we can't keep everything on Devers. We need to support him and, see if we can win the series.
Yeah, I completely agree. Before we get into anything else, we can thank our sponsor, Chapman Law Group, 415-613-9483. If you have any legal issues or legal questions, give them a call. There's a link in the description you guys can check out. Also, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. NorCal Sports Network is here after every Giants game. We're also going to be doing more videos. So for more Giants content, be sure to tune in. Lou, I agree with Lee batting 7th. I don't love that. I know he's slumping, but and I guess you need some speed and contact at the bottom of the order because Koss and Bailey just isn't getting it done. But I would prefer to have him lead off. Yaz has been hot, but I kind of liked him in the 6th or 7th spot. I don't know. It's not a great lineup now. Dom Smith, I don't know how much longer he's gonna really be contributing. He had a hot start, but how long is that gonna last? Schmidt again, 2 hits. That Schmidt's had a really good. He's just played really well ever since Matt Chapman's gone down. He has picked it up, and we're going to talk about that later. But that second base position might be up for grabs later on when Matt Chapman comes.
And then the other thing too is this series they almost deserve to get swept. When you go 2 for 26 with runners in scoring position, especially when you're at home, you don't deserve to win. So, today they got lucky. Flores was the only time they got the big hit. So it's just one of those things. This team's really in a funk, which is sort of surprising because, it went well going into the Dodger Stadium. You get, you win the first game, then, you lose the next game, then you make the trade. Cleveland's a decent team. For some reason, a lot of people in the chat think, Cleveland Guardians were horrible. No. You know, they were at 500, but they had, they came in cold, but obviously they took the series. And I think too many times, the chat just sees who we're playing, not when we're playing them. Every team is good that we're playing. Someone brought up a great thing in the chat last night that we're 1-12 against AL Central, but everyone thinks, when we go back on the road, we'll just sweep the White Sox. No, the White Sox are a decent team, and they have good pitching. Right now we shouldn't feel good about beating anybody the way we're hitting. I think every game is just going to be a struggle until we sort of get out of this funk.
We welcome in Dan. Dan, how are you? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Thanks, guys. Losing my voice here a little bit. They put a little tube down my throat, whatever the anesthesiologist, so I kind of sound a little hoarse. Thanks, everyone, for all the well wishes as well. Just add that to the chat. Yeah. Oops. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Almost pulled a major blunder and just blew up the whole show. Good thing they have are you sure you want to eject? That's why I'm not going to be on here long, guys. I just wanted to say that I thought the Webb really pitched like an ace today. That cutter that he's added, that pitch, that high pitch that gets strikeouts. He's like, I believe he's in the top 5 of strikeouts in his last 5 starts or something like that. Heard a stat, I think, from producer Ryan mentioned that. So there's a lot of good things there. And, I thought they still struggled, obviously, with the hitting. But it was nice to see Casey get 2 hard hit singles and contribute. A lot of people in the chat love to rip on him when he doesn't do well. So just give the kid a chance to play and see what he does. That'll determine if he can play every day or not in the big leagues, okay? And then the last thing I want to say before I get out of here, I kind of was thinking about this lineup. Oh, yeah, Webb more strikeouts than Chris Sale this year somehow. Wow. I would change the lineup when Chapman comes back, and this is how I would do it. I would have Lee batting off first, followed by Chapman, and then Devers. And the reason I want Chapman in the 2-hole is he is going to see a lot better pitches. They're not going to pitch around him to walk him much with Devers. You don't want to put a man on base with Devers. And I think Chapman can come up a little more clutch than Adames, it seems like, this year, at least for this year. 4th, I would go with Ramos. And then 5th, I would put Wilmer Flores when he's DHing. And 6th, I would go with Yaz because he's hitting, unless he stops and he goes back. If he stays where he's hitting decently, Yaz 6, Adames 7, Bailey 8, and Schmidt 9. Why Bailey 8 over Schmidt? Because if you put Schmidt in front of Bailey, he's going to get pitched around. He's just not going to see good pitches. So might as well put Schmidt 9th and then Lee. That's my reasoning. So that's kind of what I think the lineup should be when Chapman does come back, and just let it sit there for a while, because I think Chapman career-wise has done pretty good in the 2-hole. He's done best in the 2 or in the 7-hole in his career. For some reason, 3 through 6, he just doesn't have as much production. Don't know why, but anyway, that's kind of all I got. So you can kick me off, and you guys have a great show. And I'm doing well, Dan. By the way. I'm doing well. I've got my my Vicodin right here. The red thing for the opioid thing there. Warning. I don't take too much of it, but got that, and then I got my leg pumps, keep me from getting blood clots. So I'll be good. I should be back in the fold hopefully tomorrow night.
All right. See you later, Dan. All right. couple things that he mentioned, Logan Webb. Let's just go through this. 7 innings, 7 hits, 1 run allowed, no walks, and 9 strikeouts. I was listening to the game on the radio today, and Dave Fleming was talking about how he's turned into more of a strikeout pitcher, and his ground ball percentage is a little lower. Which is, I mean, that's completely accurate. He's struck out let's look at his strikeout. So he's thrown 101 innings. He's struck out 114. That's more strikeouts it's more than 9 strikeouts per 9 innings, which is over his career average. Webb is having a great year. He's probably going to make the All-Star team. I would say he's en route to a Cy Young if Paul Skeens can kind of slow down a little bit. If Paul Skeens continues to pitch the way he's pitching, it's going to be hard for Webb to win that Cy Young. But I mean, Webb's 7-5 with a 2.49 ERA. He's thrown 16 games, 101 innings pitched. He has a WHIP of 1.12. Webb's just having a great year, and I think he's proving a lot of people that he is a true ace, because that's kind of been up for debate these past couple years, just because he doesn't throw super hard. He doesn't have that strikeout stuff, but he's proven this year that he can strike you out. He's not just a contact pitcher. So he's a true ace.
You know, you talk about Cy Young. I mean, I definitely like Skeens, but don't you think Robbie Ray this year might be a little ahead of him for a Cy Young? At 9-1,
maybe.
Okay.
I just don't know, because Ray's a 2 and Webb is kind of the head of the rotation.
Okay.
If Ray continues, I think it would be a debate. But right now,
I'm just saying, you know how like when you have 2 guys from the same team, not one guy gets them all. That's all I meant. You know, so
yeah. Also, one more thing we should mention is Bob Melvin in his post-game press conference talked about Devers is eventually going to be moving to first base pretty soon, and Wilmer Flores is going to get that DH role. That's the smart play. Although I really like Flores in that kind of pinch hitter role, just because he showed you why he's so valuable today. He's a clutch hitter. He's second on the team in RBIs. I think he has 54, maybe 54, 55. He's an RBI machine this year, and he's a veteran, so he knows how to put the ball in play. He knows when to go after it and when to kind of take it back. To me, like, Flores would be the perfect pinch hitter in the postseason, just because you need someone to be able to rely on in the postseason. You can't be relying on Tyler Fitzgerald or Christian Koss. You just can't do that. You need a veteran, and you need a veteran presence to know, because I mean, playoff baseball is different than regular season baseball. It's every pitch is intense. Every pitch is there. I really like Flores in that pinch hitter role, but I mean, they don't have when Devers goes to first, they don't have a DH, and he's earned his at bats this year. So that's the way it's gonna fold out.
I completely agree everything you're saying. You know, I mean, to tell you the truth, with him as a pinch hitter, you have somebody that you can actually count on. It got sort of ridiculous, Bar. I know, if you watch, but not as much as maybe because, you were probably still in school or playing ball. But it got to a point where we were pinch hitting Koss for someone like Bailey. Sort of embarrassing, where we're bringing up guys batting 170 as our pinch hitters. I think the key thing is Flores is a professional hitter. We know that. Okay. He's been sort of our clutch guy early in the year, but he's the one that, when you need that hit, 70, you're going to feel good putting him up in a crucial situation. Like, I knew today he might get that big hit, because he's a professional hitter, except for maybe Devers, and just maybe Devers. Those are the only 2 guys I know in a clutch situation. They're going to make good contact, and they're probably going to come through when we need them most. And I think the one thing that me and Dan spoke about is our bench is so thin right now. With him being a pinch hitter, it gives us just a little bit more depth, which, is definitely something we need and someone we can count on. I mean, I'm so glad, Casey's playing well. But, when Casey goes 0 for 4, and then you get Lee usually going like 0 and 3 and Adames, before you know it, it's like, who is going to step up? That's why today him stepping up. I thought today's game was sort of like a must win because, you didn't want to have, 5 straight L's going into Boston, all this. So I thought today was big, and, we'll see if they can step up tomorrow. I've been told that the whole entire series is sold out, so it should be a rocking crowd, especially with the home team. Everyone should be roaring for Devers to, give it back to Boston. And, it should be sort of crazy. I mean, normally it wouldn't be that big. There'd be, majority would be like Red Sox fans, but it's at a different level. And I'm pretty excited about the series. There's no NBA game. They don't play till Sunday night. There's no WNBA game. There's no competition. So this is sort of the main game in town. So it should, hopefully it lives up to the hype.
Oh, I think it is going to live up to the hype. And baseball in the Bay Area seems like it might be back. This Devers trade is really kind of put some excitement into the team. It is amazing. It's just one player, one move can kind of put the Giants on the stage.
Yep.
You brought up Casey Schmidt, and let's get into Casey Schmidt because he had 2 hits today. He was the only guy on the team who had multiple hits. His at-bats, and I know Dan has talked about this a lot, but his at-bats are looking so much better. I watched the game last night, and there was that bat. I think he ended up striking out, but I think it was like an 8 or 9 pitch at-bat, and he was fouling off tough pitches. He was laying off some pitches that a year or 2 ago he would have swung and missed at, and he would have chased. It's just, to me, watching last night's game, if you compared Casey Schmidt's at-bats to Tyler Fitzgerald's at-bats, there's a huge difference. Tyler Fitzgerald's like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, you're out. Or he pounces on the first pitch and he hits a weak fly ball. Casey Schmidt, his at-bats are just looking so much better. He's laying off that slider from the right-handed pitcher that falls out of the zone. He's checking his swing and he's not going all the way. He just looks so much more comfortable. He's also hitting the ball pretty hard. His first hit, I want to say in the second inning today, the opposite field line drive to right. I mean, that was a barrel. He got barrels today when pretty much no one else on the team did against Evan Williams. So I'm really intrigued by what Casey Schmidt's showing offensively and then defensively too. I mean, we know who his defense is, or we know what his defense is, but he's proving it. I mean, he's a really good third base defender. He's a really good defender, period. You saw that play to end it. It was just super smooth, charged it.
Soft hands, soft hands.
And then the super smart play with the little like top spinner down the third base line where he let it go and then touched it right as it went foul. That's just a smart play that, I mean, Chapman would probably do the same thing, but Casey Schmidt isn't a scrub. He's a legit MLB player. And I think he's only going to keep on getting better because as you get more at bats, more and more at bats, and you get more comfortable with the plate, you gain confidence and your eye gets better. Your game gets elevated. And Lou, let's talk about this for a second. Can
I just say one thing about that one play?
Yeah,
people don't realize how big that play was. If that ball hits third base, there's a leadoff guy to start the ninth. That changes everything when you get a leadoff guy to start off the ninth and then one out in the ninth. And as we know with Duvall, when he had somebody get on the first thing, he sort of gets just a tad erratic. Yeah, that's why that play was so big. And, I did want to ask one question, Bora. Obviously, you're still playing a lot of ball. When you're normally a third baseman, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're not getting any time, and they sort of have you go to second, and then you're playing a lot of first, and you're starting to learn first base. Is it hard to go back to third? Because basically that's what we're asking Casey to do.
It's just hard to get pushed around anywhere. Like up and down, AAA major leagues, it's hard. It's hard to. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's hard, but it's more difficult than just playing one position. At the end of the day, you're a professional. You need to get the job done.
Sure.
But it's also, I mean, it's like different angles, different throws, different fielding angle. It's just different.
Okay.
That's what I can say. It's different.
And it's just him getting, the first 50 bats, he might be one way, but if he gets another 50 bats, he's only going to improve. And, you, as you know, hey, the more consistency you batting, plus a lot of times he's seeing pitchers for the first time, like on Friday night. I'm sorry, not Friday night, but Monday night, Cleveland's got one of the best relievers in the business. People forget about it. He throws 102 and, he struck out on the only curveball he pitched the whole night. So, when you're not used to that in the ninth inning, a pressure situation, that's the best way, he's going to learn and get better and better. But no, I thought today him coming up with 2, it's only going to be better for him on Friday. So go ahead. I just wanted to bring that up about the ninth inning.
No, yeah. And then also just to add on to that, he's going to make mistakes. He's still young. He's, I think, 26, which isn't too young, but he hasn't had much time in the big leagues. He's going to make mistakes. Just like Fitzgerald made a couple base running mistakes this year, Casey Schmidt's made some mistakes. And you can't ask for perfection from a super young kid. I mean, they're just going to make mistakes. That's how they get used to the game. That's how they know their limits and their limitations. But let's look at this comment by Dan. His chase rate since June 10th is 17.5%. For reference, Wade is at the 99th percentile at 16.4%. So this is like borderline elite by Casey. Yeah, I mean, it's just if the eye test, we talk about the eye test so much. Don't look at the stats. I mean, you can look at the stats and the stats back it up, but just the eye test, he looks more comfortable in the batter's box. And it's just going to keep on getting better. So if I were a Giants fan, and I am a Giants fan, I'm excited for Casey Schmidt to get more and more playing time. And that leads into when Matt Chapman comes back. So it's still going to be probably a couple more weeks. I don't know if he's going to come back right before the All-Star break or after the All-Star break. The way Schmidt's playing, I would have them just wait Chapman out, let him get 100% healthy, go through the All-Star break, and then come back 100% healthy right after the All-Star break. But when Chapman comes back, if Casey keeps on playing like this, I don't even think it's a question to move him to second base. Because right now, Fitzgerald is slumping. He is in a big slump. And it's not like he's hitting the ball and he's hitting the ball hard and he's just getting unlucky. He is not hitting the ball. And when he does hit the ball, it's weak contact. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look clean. It just doesn't look I don't know the word for it, but it just doesn't look good. And I'm going to compare, if you just compare the at-bats with Casey Schmidt and Tyler Fitzgerald, you can see the difference. You can just see it. Fitzgerald's playing decent second base. I'm not going to say he's playing great second base, but he made an error the other day. He got a rest day today. Casey, I don't think Casey would be worse than Fitzgerald at second base, and I think he would be better offensively than Fitzgerald, at least. What do you think, Lou?
Yeah, it's so weird. Fitzgerald started off so dominant last year. You remember he had probably a 6-week thing where he had 10 homers, almost 23 RBIs. And I've said this a few times on the chat. A lot of guys come up where the National League or the American League have not seen him. He has his way. Then the word gets out. He can't hit an inside pitch. Everybody and their moms throws an inside pitch. Before you know it, he goes in a slump. And what makes the difference between a good AAA player and a player that stays up is they have to adapt. And I don't see him adapting. I mean, he's a great bunter, but, I just see him out there. It's sort of like what Lee's going through right now. It seems like Lee right now is topping everything, and it's the exact same grounder to second base. It's the same thing. Remember, he only played about 5 weeks last year, came out on fire. Now people are adapting to him. And that's where, the coaches have to sort of work with you. Hey, listen, these teams know you got a hole in the middle. We got to go the opposite way. As Dan says, why do we have so much trouble with lefties? No, because everyone tries to pull the ball. Everyone tries to hit a home run. Nobody goes the opposite way. So I think with Fitzgerald is he's really got to start doing something, or he almost becomes like, I almost want to say like a pitcher hitting. You might get lucky once out of every 20 times, but with our lineup, we need somebody that's going to make solid contact. And, like when he's up with the bases loaded, I just want to sacrifice fly. That's a struggle. Him just making contact. So I think, you got to move Schmidt over. Plus, Schmidt deserves to be in. He's hitting better. He's playing better. So, it's one of those things. You only have one spot, two guys. Who deserves it? You got to put Schmidt there. And then you have Fitzgerald. Maybe this is the best thing. Maybe Fitzgerald just isn't one of these guys that can be a starter. He's more of somebody that maybe comes off the bench, plays maybe a start a week just to stay. And, maybe he's your pinch runner or your pinch hitter late. Maybe that's just his role. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah. And I'll say this. I think Tyler Fitzgerald starting the season as the second baseman was deserved after last year. Granted, it wasn't too long of a time, but what he did in that time granted him to be able to start the season as the starter. But I mean, if he doesn't get it going quickly, I think he is either going to be on the bench as the super utility man or in AAA, because he just needs to find that bat. And I'm going to pull up his Baseball Savant page because it's bad. It's ugly. Can you see this, Lou? Yeah.
Now it's up.
Yeah. This is kind of like advanced stats, but you want it to be in the red. Like his sprint speed is in the 97th percentile. He has good range at second in the 76th percentile. But I mean, all his batting is in the blue. It's just it's ugly, and something needs to change. For reference, I'm gonna go to Patrick Bailey, and I think it's the same. It's kind of the same thing. Let's see this.
And what exactly is this for guys like me that I've never heard of Savant or somebody in the chat?
It's an advanced statistics page.
Okay.
So it kind of just takes out, like, they have.
Now, would this be like what other pitchers use when they are going against like the Giants, like a pre-scouting thing, or is it just overall, hey guys, or is that where the guys get on the card, for defensively?
I don't know. I think this is probably this contributes to what the pitchers are looking at. I don't know what,
because you know how they always have the cards in the back where they play defense. Okay.
I don't know what exact formula opposing pitchers and teams use, but I think this might be more for fans. But you can see average exit velocity. This is Patrick Bailey now. It's in the 23rd percentile. His barrel percentage, so how often he's hitting actual barrel, is at the 34th percentile. His hard hit percentage is in the 21st percentile. His bat speed is in the 44th percentile. How often he's squaring the ball up is in the 11th percentile. His chase rate is in the 33rd percentile. His whiff rate is in the 5th percentile. His K rate is in the 2nd percentile. His walk rate is in the 39th percentile. This is Patrick Bailey. So if I go back to Tyler Fitzgerald, it's even worse. His average exit velocity is in the 1st percentile. His bat speed is in the 11th percentile. I mean, it's pretty ugly. And I don't know how you can continue, or how you can play Fitzgerald over Casey Schmidt when Matt Chapman comes back.
And me and Dan talk about this. Giants team is tough, it's struggling enough, but when you have 4 empty holes out of 9, and the other thing is, it's not like the top 5 are all batting good and then the bottom 4 are batting bad.
Yeah.
You have a guy 2nd, you have a guy 5th, you have a guy 7th, 8th, and 9th. You have so many holes. That's why it's so hard for the Giants to get a 3, put a crooked number, because without a home run, they can't put 3 hits together, because none of the guys are hitting consistently like that. I didn't know it was that bad. I mean, I knew it was bad, but that's pretty bad of what you're showing us.
That's horrible.
Yeah. It's almost like,
and
what are they even doing up in the majors hitting that bad?
Exactly. It's almost what it looks like. And baseball is a game of adjustment. So hopefully he can, because it's obvious that he had his little hot streak. Now the pitchers have adjusted to him, opposing teams have adjusted to him. Now it's on him to adjust to the adjustments. And that's the game of baseball. You're constantly making adjustments. Remember when Casey Schmidt came right up? He was like rookie of the week or something. He was just on fire. And then after that, they found his weak spot. It was the slider outside, and they just kept going to that. And now Casey's made an adjustment. He's laying off of that. He's made some corrections, and he's hitting better and he's doing better. So baseball is just a game of adjustments, and it's up to Fitzgerald to see how much and if he can adjust to that. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, Lou, let's talk about the runners in scoring position. Because I know you are big on that. So why don't you talk about that?
Sure. It's just, it's something probably over the last 2 years that NorCal Sports has really sort of been pissed off about the Giants. The inconsistency. And, guys, runners in scoring position, we are like 2 years ago, we were dead last. Last year, we were like, I think, except for Colorado and the White Sox, we were like 27th. And when you get all these chances and keep coming up empty, that's why you're not above 500. Usually in a game, you probably get between 4 and 9 chances where just one hit will be the difference. And a lot of times that's why we were so much on Chapman. Chapman seemed to come up every time with runners scoring position. And I only saw him one time last year ever hit the ball. Now with runners scoring position, guys, less than 2 outs, we'll even take a sacrifice fly. That's something we're not doing. We've had the bases loaded. I think I saw a stat 27 times this year, bases loaded with nobody out, and we only scored twice. That means we couldn't even get a ground ball for a double play to score. That's where, when you do that and you have people hitting a funk, that's where you get the 6, 7, 8 game losing streaks. In this series, we were 3 for, I think it was 27. The average teams, usually we're at 30%. We're like, at 10, 12%. And that can't happen. As a few of these guys say, oh, we have the greatest pitching. It doesn't matter how good our pitching is if we can't score runs. And you got to remember, our pitching's been great, but it's not going to be like this all year. Webb is not going to pitch, be an ace. He's going to have probably 2 or 3 starts that you're going to scratch your head. That's just baseball. Our bullpen is not always going to be, oh my God, we're up 1 run, automatically going to get the save. We're going to have blown saves. These guys are not robots or human beings. So you got to make sure the offense can do it. I mean, except for the Dodger game the other night where we won, I think it was 6-1. I can't think of a laugher, and that's what the Giants need occasionally. They hit great in Colorado, but for some reason, at Oracle Park, they struggle. And it's gotten to a point now where, 3 for 29, the Dodgers series, I think was, I think I saw a stat before today. They were like 7 for 87, and you can't win on that. When you get a chance to score, because other teams are going to do the same, are going to be in the same situation. They're going to get the sacrifice fly. They're going to get the ground balls. They're going to get the hits to you like Flores. And, I don't know what it is. We just need, and that's why I really like Flores coming off the bench, because we know he's going to be more positive than negative. Who cares about his speed if he can at least make contact? Sometimes that's all we need. Like the other night we lost where our sacrifice fly only went 210, where the average sacrifice fly, if it goes 280, we tie the ball game in the 9th. And that, I just think, runner scoring position, it's been a problem for literally, this probably come up on 2.5 years. It's not like it's just this year. It was last year, the year before. And that's where I think with Devers in the lineup, I don't have to worry about him. If he's up with runners at first and third and 1 out, I know there's a sacrifice fly. I almost can feel it in my bones. But when you go through it so often where they let you down, these guys, as Boro would tell you, I think a lot of baseball is mental and situation hitting, as Boro knows on defense, half those guys are already saying, okay, if the ball comes to me, I already know where I'm going with it. and we just got to be a little bit more consistent on the offensive part of the game.
100%. Yeah, Giants went 2 for 26 in the series. In this series, they were 2 for 26 with runners in scoring position. That's been an issue.
Lucky to win one.
Right? Yeah, lucky to win one. That's been an issue for the past 2-3 years. They scored 6 runs in the entire series. And Lou, like you mentioned, the pitching, it could be this good the whole season, but there's a good chance it's not going to be this good the whole season. The bullpen is going to wear out eventually. It might not wear out to the point that it has the past couple years, because I think the Giants have a better starting pitching rotation, but it's still going to wear out as the year goes on. You can't win the World Series with just pitching. You need some level of offense. You need a spark on your team to be able to deliver that clutch at bat, to deliver the hit with runners in scoring position. It's just you're gonna need to win some games with hitting. You can't win every game winning 3-2, 4-2, 2-1, 2-0. The Giants have won how many games? There was that streak past week or something where they won every consecutive game by 1 run.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to blow some teams out. It's just that you're gonna need to do that just so your pitching gets a little rest. Because if you're constantly in these 1-2 run games, you're gonna be taxing your bullpen, because you're gonna be always relying on Doval, Rodriguez, Rogers, Miller, the same guys, because not everybody is a high leverage guy. Yeah,
and it's still regular season. When the games count, it's a different level. You guys got to remember. Say it's we need to sweep, the Padres down in San Diego to get in the playoffs. Those games come to another level. Guys, right now are we at halfway almost? I mean, what's our record?
42 and 33.
Yeah, so we're at 75 games. So, by next week at this time, half the season will be done. And then, you got to start looking, and the one thing too is it's not that we're the only team that needs a bat. I mean, right now the Mets are really struggling scoring runs. They're probably looking for a bat. They just got swept by Atlanta. So Atlanta's, starting to take a little steps back. They're now back 2 games over 500, but there are other teams, and that's what makes it sort of tough on the wild card. You have 7 or 8 teams all within a game and a half. Everyone thinks they can make the playoffs if they can get that one extra bat, that one extra pitcher. And, right now we have a surplus of pitchers, which are great, but everyone's trying to also get that bat. And, that's, hey, I'm glad we got one, but we definitely need one more. And, I just hope the pitching stands up. But yeah, you're not going to, if we only keep scoring 2, if we keep scoring less than 3 runs or less, we're not a playoff team. I'm sorry. We need to turn up the offense a little bit, because, our schedule, if we're only going to score 3, some of these teams, like when we play Philly, the Mets, the Dodgers, when you go against someone like, Paul Skeens, you're going to need to score. So it's just, one of those things where, hey, I think we're very lucky to be 9 games over right now. Especially the way this offense has been, but we're probably going to need to be about 15 to 20 to be a playoff team, by the end of the year. So
100%. And what was I going to say? Let's look at this wild card, because this is a tough race. You can see that the Dodgers, Cubs, Mets, and Phillies, those are the division leaders. And the wild card, the Phillies, Giants, and Padres are currently, if the season ended today, Giants would be in the playoffs. But then you got the Brewers lurking, the Cardinals lurking. I mean, Brewers and Cardinals are tied with the Padres. You got the Reds lurking. You got the Diamondbacks lurking. The Braves are starting to put together some wins. They've won 3 in a row. I'm not going to say they're out of it yet. I don't know if there's any other team besides those who have a chance. I don't know the Nationals. I don't think the Marlins or Pirates or Rockies. So this is a tough race. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 teams competing for 3 spots. Like you said, every team thinks they have a chance to win, to go into the playoffs and get into the wild card. And that's why this Devers trade was such a good trade, because you got on it early. If you had waited till the trade deadline, a lot of teams need hitting, so the price is going to go up. It's going to be the same thing at this trade deadline. If the Braves fall out of it, Marcell Ozuna, I know Dan's talked about that. His price is going to go up because everybody needs hitting. You can't have enough hitting. And Marcell Ozuna is probably going to be one of the guys at the trade deadline that everybody wants. So, I mean, as you get closer to the trade deadline, the pricing of the players is going to increase. I agree with Dan. I think they do need another bat. Marcell Ozuna would be great, because if Devers can play first base and you can get a legit DH, then Flores can kind of. I don't know how well this would go with Flores. That's the thing. He's a veteran. He knows he's a professional hitter. He needs his at bats. I don't know if you can just take Flores completely out of the starting lineup and just put him into a pinch hitting role, but this is just you just need hitting, and you can't have enough hitting. So if you have a chance to get a Marcell Ozuna or somebody else, then you got to do it, because I'm just going to keep on saying it. You can't have enough hitting. You always need hitting.
Hey, Bora, I don't know. I know you guys did your show early in the day after the trade, but what was your thought about the trade? I think me in the chat would like to know. And did you think we really gave up a lot? And how big of a loss is someone like Harrison going to be to get a great bat like Devers?
I was asleep when the trade happened.
Okay.
So when I went on with
it was
Dan,
Sunday at 4 p.m, wasn't it? Okay,
I had a long Saturday night.
I got it. No problem.
But I had been up for like 5 minutes. So at first I was like, what just happened? Because it was just a shock. I'm sure everyone was like that.
Yeah, you're getting ready to see the Giant Dodgers, and all of a sudden, like, what?
Exactly.
That's how I found out about it, like 10 minutes before the game was going to start.
Exactly. I love the trade. I don't think you gave up too much. If Harrison down the line becomes a Cy Young candidate, what's the one thing that the Giants have proven that they can develop? Pitching. That's the one thing the Giants have proven they can develop. And they already have Carson Whisenhunt in the minors. So I love the trade. It was a great trade. I get it from the Red Sox perspective. I guess they thought he was a clubhouse cancer, and he just didn't want to play where they asked him to play. The lack of communication. It's just the trade. It was such a perfect trade for the Giants, because they've been looking for that left-handed power bat for so long. They haven't had that since Barry Bonds, and to be able to get that for pretty much, I'm not going to say nothing, but close to nothing. Like, Kyle Harrison might become something. James Tibbs might become
5 years, maybe
4 or 5 years away. He might become a decent MLB player. Jordan Hicks, thank you for your service. Goodbye. We don't miss you. Good luck in Boston. And then the Bello guy, he's 19, 20 years old in ACL. No one cares about that. Who cares if he becomes something? I think Posey saw that this team needs to win now, and they have an opportunity to win now. I think there's a couple more pieces that they need, like another hitter, a DH, another starting pitcher, and you could always use bullpen help, but that's a discussion for later. But I love the trade. It was just such a win trade for the Giants. Devers is perfect for this team.
I think he's perfect for the ballpark.
I do as well.
Boston heated all over the place. He'll use triple alley to his advantage. He can hit the ball the opposite way. He's not only, I think so many times people think this guy's a home run hitter. He's a sprayer, which something we don't have. And he's the type of hitter that fits this ballpark. Because I'm getting a little sick and tired of too many people. Oh, this ballpark hitters don't come. It's amazing. This weekend, Cleveland hit 2 homers and both of them were the oppos to left center, almost over center field. So don't tell me it's the players, not the ballpark. I'm getting so sick and tired of this. I've hit it for 5 years. I mean, it was amazing. Last year, the Yankees came. My God, they had 9 homers here. You know, we're lucky to get 9 homers in a month. It's the ball players. It's not the ballpark. So let's get that down, you know, and we have not been able to get a big fish. We gave up minnows. I know you guys all love Harrison. I've never heard so many people saying he's only 23. He's only 23. I personally don't think, I think he's going to struggle in Boston because I think this was a guy where we were so desperate to bring somebody up. Everyone kept comparing him to Mad Bum. Again, there's Mad Bum who was Hall of Fame material in the playoffs. Nobody's ever going to reach that level, okay? For the Giants, you had Timmy the Freak, okay? He was so unique. That's why they called him the Freak. So let's stop comparing Giants players now to 10 years. And let's look what we have now, okay? Devers is a stud. Devers is the type of guy where if they're not going to pitch to him, he'll take the 4 walks. He's going to do it, but he sprays the ball all over. He's going to adapt. And I think what's nice with him talking to Barry is Barry's going to say, listen, don't hit like me, okay? Spray the ball. Use it to your advantage. He's going to make the ballpark his advantage instead of the other way that a lot of batters come. Because I think, you see Yaz. I don't know why Yaz keeps thinking he can hit 40 homers. I've never seen a guy hit more fly balls and the ball lands 20 feet from the wall. Dude, you can't hit it over. Just hit line drives. Devers has the power. Like I said, he can spray it all. And I just wanted to ask your opinion because a lot of people say, oh, we gave up Harrison. I'm one of these guys. I thought the best thing about Harrison, he looks like Los D. That's about it. I didn't think he had that much talent. He's struggled the last 2 years. And we didn't have to give up anybody on the major roster except Harrison. Hicks had only pitched once in 2 months, and we don't have to worry about Hicks now coming in. We don't have to worry about his $12 million next year. He's gone. So I thought, to tell you the truth, probably since the trade where we did the 3-for-3 when we got Dravecky, when we Lefferts and somebody else, it's probably the best trade we've done in the last 20 years. And we did something early, not like it was one day before the trade deadline. Because, guys, what's great about now is we're all talking about problems with the Giants and their hitting. Okay, fine. We have 5.5 weeks. Buster now goes, okay, guys, we got Devers. That's 1 hole. We still have 2 more holes. He's got 5 weeks to improve our team by July 31st. And that's why it was so key. We did it early. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Great. Thank you for bringing that up, Lou, because by doing this early, you now get 5.5 weeks of observing the team with Devers. You get to see, okay, we had holes before. What do we have after we got Devers? And what do we have after Chapman comes back? Then we can address those at the trade deadline. It was such a smart trade. And Lou, you and I feel the same way about Harrison. I didn't like Harrison at all. We'd all made that very clear. He's a fly ball pitcher, and I don't know how he's gonna fare in that green monster.
Boston. Holy moly. It could get ugly quick.
It could. Now Boston does, I think, have a reputation of developing pitchers. They have Andrew Bailey, who I really liked. But yeah, end of the line, the trade was just, it was such a good trade. And yeah, Posey stunned the entire league. He did. I mean, the media was just talking about, this is the first time the media and MLB Network and social media had been talking about the Giants for like a week straight. I mean, they're still talking about the Giants. And now Posey put the Giants on watch. Every team in the National League, in the National League West, is aware that the Giants got Devers, and they're aware of the Giants because Devers has the ability to carry a team. He has the ability to hit 30 home runs, 900 OPS. He's a top, 10, 15 hitter in the league.
In the whole league combined.
That's what Kershaw said. Yeah. It's just, it was such a good trade and good on Posey. It's just, it
doesn't matter if it's a lefty or a righty. He'll play every day.
Exactly. Exactly. It tells you how much experience you don't need in the front office. You just need to know how to deal with players and how to deal with other executives, and you can get the job done. I mean, Posey's just a winner, plain and simple. He won in college. He won in the big leagues. He's going to win as an executive. I have all the confidence in Posey. It was just, yeah, Dan, like you said, he's making it a destination place, like Ned Coletti said it needed done. That's right. Let's see. What do we have in the chat? I don't see much. Lou, do you have anything else you wanna say?
Oh no, I mean, I just think, it's, first of all, it's good to see you.
Of course, yeah,
Welcome
you
back.
too.
And I just think, the Giants, this is like a little spark, but I still feel like we need something else. I think, one of the things that me and Dan really complained a lot, it seemed like one day we wouldn't like Melvin's managing moves. You waited too late. We have no bench. And I think, after this trade we're not being so negative, but we sort of see down the lane a future. I think one of the people we're not even talking about is everyone talked about the money, but this guy's only 28 years old, Devers. We got him for the next 8 years. Okay. So what we could do now is we now have Devers. Hopefully Adames comes back. Mm-hmm. You still have Chapman. So you got sort of a main formula for at least the next 3 or 4 years. We don't have to worry about everything, right? Then we got our big stud that hopefully, knock on wood, comes up. Now you have 4 guys, 4 main pieces that are going to be together probably 4 to 5 years. And then it's easier to build a winner when you already have 4 solid sort of guys between average and superstar material, right? If they play to their ability. And then when they're pitching, we're almost, you have the Dodgers maybe on 9.5. We probably have moved up to about a 7.5, 8. We're climbing up, we're getting there, but you just have more faith that this team, God, if we can get one more player. Now, instead of saying we're being homers, oh, guys, we're playoff teams, you, the fans, and the players can really start thinking, God, we're so close. And you have someone like Posey says, hey, guys, we're close. I know you guys might love, Wisenhunt, but look what we got. We had to go for it, where I think Farhan, it was always a last-minute thing. It's got to be good for both teams. I think the one good thing about Buster is he knows the fans were sort of disappointed. I mean, we bought it up before we went live. It's almost like the playoffs just started. You feel the vibes on the Giants. I mean, the other day, it was a normal Tuesday night game, but it was rocking. It was only 25,000, but it felt like it was a full house. This weekend, it's a full house, and it's only going to help if the Giants can start winning. I mean, we all talked about, when they come back, they have Philadelphia and the Dodgers, where it would have been like 35% Philly fans, Giant fans. The Dodgers would have came in, but not anymore. Giant fans know, hey, we're at that caliber of the Dodgers. We want to be there live, and it'll be a rocking area. The next couple of weekends, we have Boston this one. Then we have the Dodgers. Then we have the Mets. Those are big weekend series. So, guys, buy your square to make sure you guys can go to one of these Friday games. And, let's see what the Giants can do. Let's have fun this year.
Oh yeah, exactly. Let's have fun. And the having a packed house only motivates the players even more. I mean, it is depressing playing in an empty stadium with no one cheering you on. If you have 40,000 fans cheering you on, getting loud into the game, that motivates you, and that just makes the game so much more exciting. I have 2 more things. Dan earlier said this is why we need to trade for at least 1, preferably 2 starting pitchers. Can't count on Roop and Verlander in the dog days of summer. I agree. Johnny echoes that. I think another starting pitcher would be ideal. I don't think you can trust Verlander down the stretch. I mean, maybe he proves everyone wrong and turns back the clock, but I don't see it. He's not getting his swing and miss, and he's not locating great. Roop and Birdsong are good now, Like Roop had a bad outing against the Dodgers. Everybody does that sometimes. I still think he's going to be a viable option this season, but him and Birdsong are still young, and they're going to be approaching their innings limit, not soon, but decently soon, I'd assume.
Hot August
and
nights.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if you can trust those two guys who are super young, no playoff experience, to deal in the playoffs. I just don't think you can do that. And you don't need an ace because you have Webb and Ray at the top. You don't need a super elite guy who's going to cost you so much.
Solid
You just
three.
need a guy. You just need a guy who can eat innings. I've said this before. I think the most underrated stat for starting pitchers is how many innings you pitch, because if you're not eating innings, you're relying on your bullpen. That's what's happened the past couple of years with the Giants. The Giants bullpen has always been really good. The past 4 or 5 years, the bullpen has been really good, but the problem is they haven't had the starting pitching to go the entire season, and they've had to do bullpen games. They've had 2 starters at one point. So the bullpen has just been, at first it's been great, and then as the season goes on, it just gets taxed and wear down. You need to help this bullpen, and you need this bullpen to stay elite the entire season. So you just need a guy who can eat innings. And if you can get that, if your offense can kick it up a little bit, your guy can go 6 innings, allow 4 runs, and you can still win the game. Because if you're scoring 5 to 6 runs a game, you're going to be in a great place because your bullpen can shut them down.
Well said. I agree.
Lou, I think I'm pretty good.
All right. Yeah. No, I'm good. I hopefully, Dan's proud of what we did. We had to bring in 2 fillers since usually Dan leads the show. But no, I think, we're just guys. It's an exciting time to be at the ballpark. Us coming on me and board. It's a lot more fun off a win, but we see a light ahead of the tunnel, which is sort of the first time in a while. I don't think the last 2 years we're almost approaching a lot where we had much faith. So I have faith, and it's fun. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah. Giants, it's going to be an exciting season, I think. Yeah. This Devers trade has really brought on some excitement. Fans are back in the seats. Fans are excited. Guys, look out for a couple of videos coming pretty soon. I think Dan and I are going to do videos on Marcell Ozuna, potentially, how the Giants should trade for Marcell Ozuna, and then also something that hasn't been talked about, but I think should be talked about, is extending Elliot Ramos. Should the Giants look to do that? Dan, I think, should be back tomorrow. If not tomorrow, Saturday, definitely. Thanks for joining, guys. Have a great night. Have a great Thursday night, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Perfect.